For our moment of the week, we're looking at British politics and the custodian of the world's sixth largest economy reduced to tears on the benches of the House of Commons. Now, speaking at an event on Thursday, the UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves said it was because of a personal, private matter.
Clearly, I was upset yesterday, and everyone could see that. It was a personal issue, and I'm not going to go into the details of that. But my job as Chancellor at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday is to be at PMQs next to the Prime Minister, supporting the government, and that's what I try to do. I guess the thing that maybe is a bit different between my job and many of your viewers is that when I'm having a tough day, it's on the telly, and most people don't have to deal with that.
Now, her comments came after an outsized market reaction saw the 10-year gilt yield spike by more than 20 points, as Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, equivocated on whether Reeves would keep her job. At one point, said to record the sharpest sell-off since October 2022 and the days of Liz Truss. Now, sterling also came under pressure after a vote on a bill that was meant to save the government £5 billion, ended up saving it nothing at all, or according to one estimate, costing it £200 million. Now, Reeves has come under intense criticism since the Labour government came to power, from all sides of the political spectrum, really. But this week may have given her the most security in months. It all depends, really, on whether Wednesday's market upset was down to investors' fear of her departure or simply concern over the state of public finances. So let's get a check on gilt so we understand where we are as we approach the end of the week. It's worth keeping in mind that if you look at the benchmark, the yield on the 10-year gilt actually reached 4.61% at one point as a result of that political turmoil or upset. At this stage, though, we have seen the yields coming off after that event. And indeed, on Thursday, we did close seeing the yield on the 10-year gilt at 4.54%. In terms of sterling, let me show you where we are as well, so you get a sense of what happened in that part of the market too. Again, we saw pressure for sterling against the euro as well as the greenback. Those concerns have eased a little bit as we witnessed Thursday's trading day. But ultimately, the question here is where do we go from here? Because clearly the investment community is showing a lot of concerns about the fiscal position of this economy. Now, this is coming as today marks 1 year since the election that brought Labour back into power for the first time in 14 years. And our colleague Ritika Gupta filed this report.
We said we would end the chaos, and we will. We said we would turn the page, and we have. Today we start the next chapter.
It's been 1 year since Labour's return to power here at Westminster. And after a landslide victory, it appeared that the party had turned over a new leaf after 14 years in opposition. But it's been nothing short of tumultuous for Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. Big promises, especially on the economy, have failed to materialise. And as a result, Starmer's popularity has plummeted in the polls. Chancellor of the Exchequer Rachel Reeves vowed to fix public finances, but her pledge to rule out both tax rises on working people and any increase in borrowing left her in a difficult position. Ultimately, the reality has been a series of U-turns on welfare and spending cuts in her spring statement, and even speculation about whether she will be in the job by year-end. With little room to manoeuvre, senior economist at the Resolution Foundation, Simon Pittaway, now sees a rising prospect of fresh tax hikes in this autumn's budget.
As far as we're concerned, sticking to the existing fiscal rules is really crucial. That's a move that would signal kind of credibility and confidence to the market. Depending on the government's priorities, some combination of higher taxes and lower spending out towards the end of the forecast period might be the way forward.
Domestic issues aside, where Labour has arguably had more success is on the international stage. The government delivered a triple whammy of trade deals with India, the US and the EU. While many political commentators have hailed these developments as major breakthroughs, the overall economic impact remains to be seen.
I think the reset of relations with the European Union is important, long way to go with that, but that sets us back on a sensible track. And I think he has managed this incredibly difficult that task of working with President Trump really quite adroitly. We have the trade deal, and it's been trumpeted as a historic trade deal. I wouldn't call it that. It's essentially limiting the damage that Trump would have done otherwise to our trade.
But it hasn't been enough to get Labour's ratings back on track. Keir Starmer's popularity with the public fell to a record low in May, according to a YouGov survey. At the same time, rival Reform UK is gaining popularity. Recent polling shows that Nigel Farage's party is on the way to get the most seats if an election took place this year.
What the rise of Reform, I think, illustrates is the level of disaffection with politics and political outcomes. This should be redressable by good policy making, good, honest policy making, but it will take time.
As bad as the outlook may be for Labour, with another 4 years until another general election, Starmer may still have some time to turn the ship around. Ritika Gupta, CNBC International, Westminster.
And Ritika is joining us now with more. Ritika, first and foremost, welcome to the team. It's good to have you on board. What a week to be celebrating a 1-year anniversary for this government with that emotional appearance in Parliament. I'm just wondering, what is the sentiment going from here? Because it seems that they are in a very difficult position, really.
Yes, Silvia, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Well, Labour clearly has got off to a very rocky start this year, and it's almost quite surprising because they came into power with such a landslide victory. And they were in 14 years in opposition, so this really was their big chance to shine. But what we've seen is they made promises that failed to materialise on the economy. The government's mission that it set out was really to spur economic growth, to make people better off. But what we've seen is an economy that's stagnating, productivity that is low and muted, job creation that is muted. And in April, we actually saw the economy shrink by its most since 2023. And economists only expect it to get worse from here.
But some of these issues are not new. Productivity issues of the UK economy have been with us for many, many years. So I'm wondering why the bond market seems to be so focused on what Rachel Reeves is doing.
Well, that's true. That the Labour government, they actually inherited this economy. So in part, they are trying to do their best to, as Rachel Reeves had put it back in October, she wanted to wipe the slate clean because the debt to GDP in the UK, the ratio is so high. I think there's actually a stat that since the financial crisis, it's risen more than it has in the US even. So that's one of the reasons that the bond market is so sensitive to it. Also, the markets, they appreciate the fiscal rules. They don't want to see such big borrowing, but it's the way that they've gone about it with such a small margin of error. That is what's concerning for the markets, and they just need some stability now. They want the government to stick with these fiscal rules. They need the government to have credibility.